If you want to scale your pressure washing business, you need to be able to dominate on Google. It's not even a question. While Facebook ads, social media, yard signs, things like that are great, if you can manage to crush it on Google, you will win your market hands down. In this video, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to not only just show up on Google, but actually dominate in your local market so that you can be number one against all of your competitors. Really quickly, if you don't know, when it comes to Google, there's 3 places that you can actually show up when people go searching for pressure washing or related services. The first is the Google Ads section. So the first 2 to 4 results, those are going to be reserved for anybody who's running Google Ads. Under the Google Ads section, you have the Google Business Profile or Google My Business Profile section or the Map Pack. Lots of different names there, but that's the other place that you can show up and start ranking number 1. The third place is actually the search engine results. And when we talk about SEO, generally we're talking about this particular section here and ranking a website so that it shows up number 1, 2, or 3 in this particular section. Ideally, to actually dominate on Google, you want to be able to show up in all 3 areas because every market's a little bit different and the way that homeowners interact with Google are a little bit different in every market. You might have a market where people tend to navigate and click on Google Ads. You might have a market where people tend to navigate and click on the Map Pack or the search engine results. So really, dominating on one is good and focusing on one is great. But when you can really focus and show up on all 3, that's when you can really start to make a huge impact to your lead flow. So I want to give you guys some really great tips so that you can start showing up in all 3 areas. The first section I want to talk about is Google Ads. And if you don't know how Google Ads works, basically you run a Google Ad campaign, you put in a particular set of keywords, and anytime somebody in your area searches for that particular keyword, basically an instantaneous eBay auction happens against you and anybody else that's running ads in your area for that same exact keyword. For example, if the word house washing is in your Google Ad campaign and there's 5 other people who have a budget of, let's say, $5 a click for that, all of you guys bid back and forth instantaneously, and whoever pays the most to show up is going to show up number 1, 2, 3, etc. You kind of get the idea. I hope that makes sense. Here, I'll show you a quick example. So as you can see, when I go to Google and type in pressure washing near me, in less than half of a second, I'm served with a handful of pressure washing ads. These companies that show up at the top paid more than the ones that show up at the bottom of the Google Ads. I'm not going to super dive into Google Ads in this video because that is more of a long form and detailed video, but I just wanted to kind of explain Google Ads and why you really want to focus on that. If you want to see a longer form video on how to run Google Ads, just let me know down in the comments. I'll spend some time and I'll show you guys exactly how to run pressure washing Google Ads. But in the meantime, I want to give you guys a couple of tangible tips. That way you can at least have something if you're running Google Ads or thinking about running Google Ads that you can take away from this video to start maybe doing a little bit better than your competitors are. With over $2 million in pressure washing Google ad spend alone, I promise you that if you do these couple of tips that I'm getting ready to tell you, I guarantee that your Google Ads will perform significantly better. You'll save a lot more money and get a better cost per lead than all of the competitors in your market. So first, you want to make sure that you've set up your Google conversion tracking properly. This is little bits of code that you need to add to your website to track any time that you get a lead from Google Ads. Secondly, once you have the Google conversion tracking set up, make sure that the campaign is optimized for conversions, not clicks. Remember, we don't care about the clicks, all we care about is the leads. And the third tip that I have for you guys is really just making sure that you're using exact match keywords. So basically, when you create a Google campaign, and for those of you that have made your Google ad campaigns, you may have already seen this or experienced this. Google gives you 3 options on how to structure your keywords on how they should show up. So the 3 options that you have are exact match, phrase match, and broad match. Now for you guys, I would highly recommend that you select exact match, and the reason for that is I'll give you a quick example of why you want to do this. So I personally use broad match, but it's because I understand how to set all of the other parameters so that my campaigns run the way that they should. But let's use the word house washing. So let's say that that's in your campaign and you have it set for exact match. Well, the only time your ad's going to show up is if somebody types in house washing, right? And the same thing's true for house washing companies near me or whatever the case may be. Now, if you had, let's say, broad match set up and one of your keywords was house washing, if somebody just typed in house repairs or house cleaning or whatever the case may be, just one of those words appearing in the search, because the word house is in your campaign, it's going to show up for all of those searches, which you don't want. Phrase match means that it has to that the user's search has to encapsulate your entire keyword, but can also include other words, such as house wash detergent, right? So even though only house washes in your campaign, if you have phrase match selected, you could show up for a search for somebody searching for house wash detergent, which obviously you don't want to. So limit your searches and your keywords to exact match only. Now, a bonus for you guys, if you want a really great list of keywords to start with, drop your email down in the comments and I will personally email you the list of pressure washing keywords that we use with like 90% of our Google ad campaigns. And the last tip that I have for you guys is make sure that you set up site link extensions. So these are little bits of things that you can add on to your Google ads to really make them stand out. They're more call to actions. You can add your phone number so that if somebody just searches it, they don't even have to navigate to the website. They can just click the phone number. You can add additional pages to show up in your Google ads and all that sorts of stuff. So make sure that you research site link extensions and make sure that you set those up with your Google ad campaign. Now, the next area of Google that you really want to dominate is the Google Map Pack or the Google Business Profile, whatever you want to call it. A majority of traffic will go to either that section or the search engine results section, which is what I'm getting ready to talk about. So showing up number 1 or number 2 or number 3 here is pretty critical. But before we get started, I kind of want to bust a few myths as far as how the Google Map Pack ranking works. There are a lot of factors that go into it, but there's really only a couple that really matter. The first myth is the SEO is kind of directly tied to your Map Pack ranking, meaning if you're paying a company for SEO or maybe you're trying to do your own SEO, that it will actually boost your ranking in the Map Pack, and that just is not true. When it comes to the Map Pack ranking, while your Google Business Profile and your website are somewhat linked together, the rank of your pressure washing website has little to very little impact on your Google Map Pack ranking. The second myth is that if you post a lot of photos and you geotag your photos and you make a lot of post updates, that you will also rank up higher in the Map Pack. Now, while this is a signal ranking factor for the Map Pack, I can assure you that I've seen it time and time again. You know, companies with 12 reviews that have done all of these things that I've just listed, and a company with 15 reviews and they've done none of these things and they're still outranking them. I'm going to put a link down in the description as to what all of the ranking factors for the Google Business Profile are from Google, actually, so that you can actually look at these. But at the end of the day, guys, the only thing that really matters, that has the most weight, is the amount of reviews, the quality of reviews, and the proximity from where the search is being made. So let me give you a really quick example of what this looks like. As you can see, when I go to Google and type in pressure washing near me and click on the Map Pack results, the company that shows up number 1 only has 15 reviews. So why do they outrank companies with 62 and 59 reviews? Well, if you look at my location and then you look at the location of the company with 15 reviews, you will see that they're actually right up the block, versus the other companies are about 5 to 7 miles away. So Google thinks that the company closest to me is more valuable. So while the two big factors here are the amount and quality of reviews and your location, you can really only control one thing, and that is the amount of reviews. So in this particular example that I just showed you guys, if I were looking for a pressure washing company and I made that search and saw those results, even though that company that's right up the block showed up number 1, I'm probably still going to call the companies with more reviews, even if they're only 5 to 7 miles away, because they have more proof, they have more, everything. So, even if you're not showing up number 1, if you can show up number 2 or number 3 and you have a lot of reviews and you have a really nice website, that can be enough to push the homeowner over to reaching out to you and getting an estimate from you. So for right now, just focus on your reviews, getting more reviews, get those reviews by any means possible, and I promise you your lead flow will start increasing. And the last place, and questionably the most important place that you want to rank up on Google to crush it in your market against your competitors, is the search engine results. Now, the reason that I prefer the search engine results, if I had to pick one of these 3, the big thing is that unlike the Map Pack, it is relatively easy to rank up in the Map Pack because, like I explained earlier, all you need to do is just get a ton of reviews, right? The problem is that it's proximity based. So let's say that you want to start doing a lot of pressure washing work in a neighboring suburb that's 20 miles away. It's going to be very hard for your Map Pack ranking to ever reach out that far so that you show up when homeowners make that search. However, let's say with your website, your pressure washing website, If you were to create a location page that has the name of that suburb or that city in the location page, and you optimize it and do all of the necessary SEO things, if somebody types in pressure washing suburb, right, in that city that's 20 miles away, if you've optimized and you've done a really good job with SEO on that location page, that page could show up number one. So even if you don't show up in the map pack, you still have an opportunity to capture all the traffic and from the search engine results perspective. Now, when it comes to actually ranking up in the search engine results part of Google, it can get a little complex. So I would recommend one of two things. One, hire a company, or two, do some extensive training, because at the end of the day, you can sink a lot of money into Google ads, you can sink a lot of money into Facebook ads, and the same thing's true with any form of marketing, but search engine optimization or showing up in the search engine results is more concrete, it sticks longer, it's not something that you necessarily have to pay for monthly, at least not once you've secured, number 1, number 2, and number 3 ranks. But nonetheless, if you decide to try and rank up and do your own SEO on your own pressure washing website, I want to give you guys some tangible advice of things that you can start doing right now that honestly, if you're going up against your competitors and they're not doing SEO, you're going to have a huge leg up. The first tip that I have for you guys is make sure that you have individual service pages. You want to avoid piling all of your services on one page, right? So if I go to your website and I go to the menu, there should be a drop down for house washing, for concrete pressure washing, for driveway pressure washing, all of the keywords that people would search for. And the reason that you want to do this, right, is in reverse. If you have a service page that has a list of all of your services and a very small brief description, one of the ranking factors for Google, if somebody goes typing, driveway pressure washing near me into Google, is how many times does that keyword appear on the website, right? So if you have one small header and a little section about that on one page, you're not going to be able to compete with guys who have a dedicated driveway pressure washing, entire page. So that would be my very first tip, especially if you're doing your own website design, or if you're working with a company, make sure that they're building out individual service pages for all of the services that you offer. The second tip that I have for you guys is really just making sure that your website is rich with content. So kind of playing off of the first tip that I gave you guys, making sure that you guys have individual service pages. Within those pages, make sure that you have, a dense amount of copy, somewhere between, 750 to 1,000 words on every single page, because again, like, if you were to go to all your competitors' pages and you go to their individual service pages, they may have 200 or 300 words. So by you putting 3 or 4 times the amount of, content on your pages, naturally Google's going to see you as more valuable because those keywords are appearing more times on your website. The third tip that I have for you guys that you guys can start doing is run a technical SEO audit of your website, and you can do this if you go to the website SEO Ability, and I'll drop the link to that down in the description. It's completely free to use for up to one site, which that's all that you need. You can put your domain in there and it'll send back all of the issues that are wrong with your website and things that you can fix. And if you start fixing a lot of these issues that are wrong with your website, Google will favor your website over your competitors and thus start ranking you for a lot more keywords. And the last tip that I have for you guys is just backlinks and business citation listings and things of that nature. So if you don't know, basically what a backlink is it's anytime another website links back to your website. So an example of this would be your Facebook business page. If you have your pressure washing website there and it's linking back to your pressure washing website, that would be considered one backlink. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can go about this. The best way to do this is just make sure that your business is showing up on all of the local indexes, things like, Angie's List, Thumbtack. Now, I'm not saying to advertise with them, but a lot of these sites, you can at least make a listing, put your business address, put your phone number, and put your website there, and that will count as a backlink. So spend some time and go through basically anywhere on the internet where you can put your website. You're going to want to do that because it's going to build backlinks, and Google sees that as you building authority, and it will absolutely outrank all of your competitors if you really start focusing on the amount of backlinks that are linking back to your website. So while there's a ton of things that you can do from an SEO perspective to rank up your pressure washing website on Google, I gave you guys 4 tips, and these are things that you could probably start doing without the help of anyone else, maybe a little bit of YouTube training. As always, guys, you can always drop a comment below this video and I will respond. But anyways, I hope this video helps you guys out. I hope you guys can start ranking up higher on Google, and I will catch you guys